Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So today's story time is kind of an embarrassing one. And the worst part about this story time is I didn't even embarrass myself. This is embarrassment that was just forced upon me. Now you're probably like, Austin, how do you get embarrassed by something that you didn't even do? Like, what happened? How could you possibly have someone force embarrassment on you? Well, I'm gonna tell you about it today, okay? So I hope you enjoy this story time. Leave a like on the video if you do enjoy it. And let's just jump right into today's story time, alright? So this story time takes place a long time ago, okay? The story time takes place when I was 10 years old, alright? Now, 10-year-old Luna, he wasn't doing a whole lot, okay? Me, when I was 10 years old, all I really did back then was play Xbox and just eat. Yep, that was literally it. I would do schoolwork sometimes, I would eat and play Xbox. That was pretty much my day-to-day routine, and that was it. Now, my brother, on the other hand, I have 3 older brothers, okay? Now, this one brother of mine, he was kind of like the troublemaker of the 3. He was the one that I was the closest with as well, so some of his bad choices would sometimes rub off on me. And anyway, yeah, so this one brother, he was 6 years older than me, okay? So he was 16, which was like prime age to just be getting into shit. And he would literally get in trouble all the time. Like, I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I feel like every other day he'd be getting into some situation, whether it was with my parents or at school or something. And let me tell you about my brother's daily routine, okay? My daily routine was like video games and like eating junk food. But my brother's daily routine was like running away from home, eating junk food, playing Xbox, skipping school, smoking weed, doing other things that aren't good. I'm not even going to go into detail because half the stuff he did all the time would probably get me demonetized. So anyway, my brother had a collection under his bed. Now you're probably like, Austin, what collection are we talking about here? He had a collection of magazines under his bed, alright? Now, they were dirty magazines. I don't really need to go into detail about that. I mean, you could guess what I'm talking about. There's girls in them wearing minimal clothing. Playboys, you know. And it was a different time back then, alright? It's not like it was the Stone Age or anything. There was still internet. Like, he could go on the internet and look at that stuff. But it was also really common to have magazines of that kind of stuff. And that's what he did. And he hid them under his bed. Now, you're probably like, Austin, how do you know about that? I found them on accident one day when I was looking for a video game. I thought it fell under his bed. It wasn't. It was just a bunch of dirty magazines. And when I found them, he caught me finding them. And he was like, yo, you cannot tell mom or dad about this. Like, if you tell them, I'm gonna kill you. And he was telling the truth, honestly. Like, I was like, all right, I won't tell anyone, don't worry. And I didn't. I was a very loyal brother, okay? I didn't tell anybody. But then he backstabbed me, okay? He did the worst thing a brother can do to a younger brother. He didn't want to hide them there anymore because he was worried that my mom would randomly search his room one day. So he took them and he shoved them under my bed. He hid them under my bed without telling me. And this was bad. This was bad for many reasons, okay? First of all, if my mom finds that, she's going to think that her 10-year-old is a Playboy addicted freak. And that's just not a conversation I'm trying to have with my parents ever. So yeah, definitely not a good thing that he put those under my bed. Now you're probably wondering, Austin, how'd you find out that he hid those under your bed? Like, surely you've had to have found them on your own, right? Nope. The worst possible thing that could ever happen happened. So one day I wake up, I'm just in my room playing some Xbox, doing nothing, and my mom walks in with a bunch of things in her hands, like some old shit she found in the basement that belongs to me. And I was like, oh, what's that? She's like, oh, just some extra cords and like wires that you probably need. I'm gonna put them under your bed. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So she pulls out this container under my bed that has all my extra blankets in them, and she starts moving them around to put the cords in there. And when she lifts up the blankets, she sees a stack of Playboys almost tall enough to get to fucking Mars. And she's like, Austin, what the hell is this? And I turn around and I just see my brother's stack of dirty magazines just sitting under my bed. And I'm like, those aren't mine. She's like, they're under your bed. What the hell? I was like, Mom, I'm telling you, those aren't mine. Like, I don't know how those got there. I don't know who put them there, but I didn't do that. And she goes, you really expect me to believe that you didn't put these under your bed, hiding under the blankets? I was like, no, I really didn't put those there, I swear. She goes, that's it. And she calls up my dad. Now, my dad, he's a chill dude. He doesn't really care about this type of stuff, but she involved him anyway because, you know, she wanted to talk to him about it. Now, personally, I don't know why she was freaking out that bad. Like, I was 10 years old. It's probably common that 10-year-olds get into that kind of stuff that early. I don't really know the average age, but I was, so I don't think it was that big of a deal. But I guess she was just worried that I somehow got this stack of Playboys at such a young age and who's selling them to me. So an hour later, my dad comes over and we all sit down at the table, her, my dad, me, and they start interrogating me. They're like, who's selling you these magazines? And I was like, nobody. And they're like, you really expect us to believe that? Who's selling you the magazines? I'm like, Mom, I'm telling you, I don't know how those got there. And like, I'm a bad liar at 10 years old, okay? I can't lie for shit at 10 years old. I still can't lie for shit. But back then, it was even worse. And she goes, Austin, stop fucking lying to me. Who sold you those magazines? Why do you have them? And my brother walks into the kitchen to make a sandwich, and he sees me there, under pressure, getting interrogated, and he gives me this look of death. This look of like, if you crack down under pressure and you rat me out, I'm gonna beat your ass later kind of look. So you wanna guess what I did? I point right at him and I go, they're his magazines. Because you know what? I thought about it for a second. He totally fucked me over. Like, he took those magazines and he hid them under my bed to blame me if they ever got found. He didn't want to get in trouble himself, so he hid them in my room to blame his little brother. So I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? Two can play at that game. So yeah, I pointed at him and I ratted him out. And my parents were like, is this true? And he goes, no, it's not true. Like, he's lying. And I'm like, no, it's true. I found them a couple months ago. And after I found them, he hid them under my bed without me knowing. And when you found them, Mom, that was my first time finding them as well. I had no idea they were under there. He placed them there to get me in trouble on purpose. And she believed me instantly. She's like, yep, that I can believe. Because I was telling the truth and because my brother got in way more trouble than me all the time. So, you know, it made more sense that he was the one hiding the dirty magazines. But anyway, that pissed him off. That sent me into a complete war with him. You know what he did? He tortured me every day for like 2 weeks straight. That same night after I went to bed, he just started this all-out prank war, basically. He went in our backyard and he bagged up dog poop and he went into my room and put it in my bed while I was sleeping. And yeah, I woke up an hour later and I found it and I'm like, all right, two can play at that game. So I grabbed the bag and I go in his room and I put it in his pillowcase while he's asleep. And he didn't like that. It made the war 10 times worse. The next night, I went to bed, and I wake up in the middle of the night to him swinging open my door and throwing a can of liquid ass spray. If you don't know what that is, never buy it. It's literally just a spray can of the worst smelling liquid in the fucking world. And he duct taped it down so it was constantly spraying, and he ran into my room and threw it in my bed at me, all over me basically, and then slammed the door shut and locked me in with it. And it was just beyond disgusting. Like, I couldn't get that smell out of my room for like 6 weeks straight. It was so nasty. So me being a petty and stubborn little kid, I was like, you know what? This isn't over. So I run out to my garage, I grab my brother's paintball gun, and I run back inside, and I bust open his door, and proceed to shoot him with a paintball gun a couple different times. And the next day is when the prank wars all ended, because I realized that I'm not going to win this war, because me and my brother are both stubborn. He ended the prank war by coming in my room with a giant bucket of ice water and dumping it on me while I slept. And that was when I was like, okay, yeah, I'm done with this. This is over with. And yeah, pretty much that's where that ended. But moral of the story is, don't frame your siblings. Yeah, that's pretty much the story time of how my mom found my stash, but the stash wasn't even mine. It was my brother's, and I got blamed for it. But in the end, everything was okay. No one really got hurt, besides him when I shot him with a paintball gun, but that was okay. He was fine. Austin's siblings weren't hurt in the making of this story time. But yeah, guys, I thought this was a funny little story time, so I thought I'd tell it on this channel. If you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. I have a really crazy story coming for you guys tomorrow. And yeah, feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.
Like what's up? They leave me out for the dead, and now they know they're fucked. All my texts are unread, that's how I